thank you so much for coming. This is our home, San Diego.
Welcome.
Welcome.
We're excited you're here.
So for those of you who didn't come yesterday, which is interesting because yesterday Danielle had planned for 50 people to come, and so we got food for 50 people, and 200 showed up. So
Woohoo!
yeah. For you guys that came out there, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was so great.
So let me just talk about our mission at Avison, and it's helping people live healthier and pain-free lives. You can't have a better mission than that, I believe, in life, no matter what you do, whether or not you have a medical device company or not. And our vision is, and your vision, is every family in the world has access to the benefits from Avison. And I think we'll do that. We won't do it in 5 years, in 10 years, but we will. The little girl in the middle is a autistic child. She was 4 years old when she started using the machine. I think she's 5 or 6 now. Well, she's certainly 5. And she calls it her hand time. And her grandpa every year on the holidays flies up to Michigan. He lives here in San Diego, flies up to Michigan to take her shopping. And that's the big thing every year. Last year when he took her shopping, she looked around and he said, "Honey, what do you want?" And she said, "I want hand time." And that's what she calls being able to put her hand in the Avison is hand time.
Yeah.
And we've changed her life, and you guys can do the same thing. So I'm gonna skip this because everybody knows what Avison means. And the science grew out of research to help those from suffering from pain associated with chronic migraines. And I guess probably half of you were here last night. So I'm gonna go over it. I'm sorry if it's redundant, but I started Avison based on trying to help Danielle's sister, who had over 20 years of chronic migraines. At the time that I founded Avison, I was doing 2 things. One is I had a company researching migraines, and the second thing is I was working with scientists at Stanford University on rapidly cooling the human body and thermoregulating it. And that research and my migraine research all came together in realizing I found some research that people that were being treated for hyperthyroid, they were using T3 hormones to take their body temperature, which is normally low, and raise it up. And it was just, I don't want to use right place, right time, because you guys are at the right place, right time. But right place, right time, or it was just an intervention from our Lord. And put them both together. We took care of Danielle's sister, and we grew into Avison. That started 10 years ago.
We're a 10-and-a-half-year overnight sensation.
Right.
Go figure.
Right. So we're in good company at Avison. In 2017, when I'm asked what up until you guys all came, one of the best things that happened is we were recognized as an innovation winner, along with all these other companies, at a single awards presentation at Disneyland. It was a black tie affair. But you can see some of the people that got the award the same night, and so I always say we're in good company. The Innovation Award was for our fibromyalgia research and studies in Europe. And anyway, it was a great night. So, a little bit about me. I always had the ability to find solutions. My whole family is that way. Find solutions to complex problems. Even at 5 years old, I was fixing our Westinghouse laundromat machine because I didn't want to pay $20 for a service call. Over 40 years of computer engineering and information technology, I learned a lot of things. In 2007, I started point-to-point software when I was researching migraine neural response triggers. 2008, I was doing research and licensing some technology from Stanford for thermoregulation. In 2009, we made a discovery on migraine treatment by increasing the core body temperature. And for the next 5 years, I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I knew what the device was doing. And but then it started doing so many things for so many people, I wasn't too sure anymore. And so we formed a partnership with some researchers at the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine in Irvine, California. And we went there and we had a committee of 2 cardiologists, a diabetes researcher, a dermatologist, and myself. And they had some fancy name on it, and I just left it be. And after about 2 months, I said, what does this mean? It's a Latin word, and do you name all your research projects? And they said, no, what it means in Latin is, what the hell is going on? And I said, okay, it's pretty apropos, because we were trying to figure out what the machine was doing. We were having people with everything from Parkinson's, carpal tunnel, migraines, of course, fibromyalgia. I could make a list of about 15 different things. The interesting part is we found my first commercial customer was a fellow by the name of Dr. Nathan Newman. He's a cosmetic surgeon in Beverly Hills. And I sold him a machine in Las Vegas where I was trying to raise money, actually Green Valley, trying to raise money for the company. And he came along and he said, what do you got here, boy? And I said, I've got a migraine machine that helps people. He said, I'll buy one. I said, do you want to try it? No, I believe you. Do you want to know how to make money on it? You know, do you need I put this whole business plan together for commercial customers, how much you charge and how you, no, I don't need to make any money. He said, what are you buying it for? And he said, I'm in Beverly Hills, and he's got a great place on Wilshire Boulevard and off of Rodeo Drive. And he's got the whole 3rd floor. He said, oh, you wouldn't believe the customers I have that come in with migraines. And I just want to let him use it. So I hadn't heard from him for about didn't hear from him for almost 6 months. I had an appointment at UCLA, so I called him up and I said, do you have some time? I want to stop in. And he said, sure, come on by. And so typically when there's new gadgets out, and I don't like to call this a gadget, but all of the innovative people try them, and they have what I call the gadget closet. And I've seen some of the gadget closets. And
I think we've all seen the gadget closets.
And they're piled high with things that they thought were going to help, and they didn't help. So I took the elevator up to the 3rd floor, and I saw, the front door, and I walked in, and there he was smiling, and he said, I'm glad you're here. I've got only about 10 minutes for you, but I want you to see the Avison room. And I thought, he's going to take me to the gadget closet, isn't he? No, there was a beautiful glass-etched door with a beautiful woman on it, and you open the door, and there was the Avison sitting there. There was a chair, and at that time, it was one of the older versions where you had to put water in it.
Some of you saw it yesterday.
Yeah, some of you saw it yesterday.
The MacGyver version.
And I said, what's going on? He said, I have everybody using this now. And I said, well tell me a quick story, because you only have 10 minutes. And he said that I got the Avison, and I just put it in a room for people to try with migraines. And my PA, after about 2 months, said, Dr. Newman, did you notice that the people that are using the Avison in their procedures, they heal so quickly? He said, Tom, I didn't have time to do anything and research it, but I said, let everybody use it. Tell them when they come in, or have them come in 15 minutes early and use it. And I said, wow. And he said, here's the best part. And he reached into his pocket and pulled out this little notebook that he had all these notes written on. He said, you know, the machine does this. And I looked at it, and there was probably 7 or 8 things on there. I said, wow. No, I didn't. And anyway, so that's how we started the research project at UC Irvine. And about 3 months into the project, finally, and it actually was Dr. Newman, we started the meeting, and every meeting we had objectives after the meeting to go and research and find out, what does this mean? What does that mean? How is it affecting this? He said, I got it. And so everybody looked at him. And the cardiologists were the worst, because they didn't think it did anything. But he said,
sorry if there's any cardiologists in the room.
I mean, that's just who they are. They think they know everything. And
do you know you're being videoed right now? Just FYI.
You didn't let me finish. And the reason for that is because they do know everything.
Oh.
Okay? And so I respect their opinions. And anyway, said, it's your increasing microvascular circulation. And I had never heard that word before. And anyway, that's where we finally realized, after 5 years of thinking I was just warming up the human body, to find out that not only was I warming up the human body, I was doing what they told me that I couldn't do, and that was increase core body temperature non-evasively after normothermia. Normothermia, for discussion purposes, 98.6 degrees. And we were going beyond that physical limit. And that's where we get all of the results, by increasing microcirculation. So anyway, that's the migraine treatment discovery and helping Danielle's sister. So in 2009, actually I changed the name from Point to Point Software to Avicen Inc., and then later on we changed it to Avicen Medical. So here's the problem, and 80% of the people, there's the 80-20 rule, but 80% of the people, and I think it's more than that, over 40 years old have compromised microcirculation. And you all know that if you're over 40 years old. The day you're 40 years old and you get up in the morning and you used to read that newspaper, now you need reading glasses to read the newspaper. And that happens when you're approximately 40 years old. So what we do is we increase microcirculation by warming the body from the inside out, and it's called systemic, head to toe, through the palm of the hand. Now, when you try to explain that to people, unless they're trying it, it's really a hard concept. I know when we went to Pain Week in Las Vegas to introduce this to the medical community, most people, they thought we had a hand warmer, and so they would walk by. And the ones that came...
Or we were doing manicures.
And
like, really?
Yeah, and listen to the explanation. They got it. And so it was getting easier and easier to explain what we did. So one of the barriers of the company not taking off is people didn't believe what we could do through the palm of the hand. And the palm of the hand basically always has a lot of blood in it, okay? It's your body's radiators, the palms of your hands and the bottom of your feet. And so by putting your hand in a vacuum, this normally full of blood hand, the vessels will distend and it'll pull more blood in the palm of the hand. So when you put your hand on the heat transfer pad, there's more surface of blood to warm. Blood goes to your heart, and then it goes throughout the whole body. In about 7 minutes, you start seeing the reactions. All the time, if I find people with Parkinson's and they're stage 3 and they have constant tremors and they can't even drink a cup of coffee, 7 minutes plus or minus 15 seconds, and I won a lot of bets on this, they will just become as calm as they can be. They drink their coffee and they go home and they sleep like they haven't slept in 10 years. So we know, and we know from migraines also, at 7 minutes they just seem to dissipate. So if you have a migraine, you can use the device, although we're not cleared for migraines, but because somebody asked this question. 10 minutes works almost all the time. So.
If you have a migraine, don't do it any more than 15 minutes.
Right.
That's very important for you all to know.
Yeah, because we have a doctor, Dr. Tall. She invested in the company also, but she had been all over the world. She spent a fortune on trying to find a resolution for her migraines. She had a migraine every day. And if you go on migraines.com, they have a group on there, and you'll see her testimonies on there. So she got immediate relief. She went down to 2 migraines a month. She was very happy. And then about 6 months later, she called me up and she said, I guess the body's reacting and it's not doing anything anymore. So I'm back up to 15 migraines a month. And I said, Dr. Tall, what has changed? Have you done anything? Are you taking any more medication? She said, no. She said, as a matter of fact, I used it 30 minutes because it was, first I used it 15 and 20 because it really felt good using it. And so we backed her down to 15 minutes and everything went away except for 1 or 2 occasional migraines. So that's a situation where more isn't better, and that's a really good point. So declining microcirculation is one of the principal contributing factors to almost all health problems as we age. So is there a big market? Yeah, there's a huge market. Is this the best way in the world ever to give back to society, to help people? It is. And so if you do nothing else and you get small rewards, or you're a billionaire and you don't care about the money, I think I would still do this. I think I would still do this to help people.
Absolutely.
And it's a huge give back. So the other point is Avicen is the only known device that non-invasively and safely increases microcirculation systemically. And how do we know that? Well, when we got our patents, we had to do what's called prior art research. And I had to pay a couple of attorneys a lot of money to spend time going back and looking at all of the patents since 1921. I think that's the closest one we found something. But it was just one that was using the AVAs. It wasn't doing what we did. And why hasn't anybody, that's a question I get frequently asked. You're a computer guy. Why hasn't anybody?
Yeah, you're not a doctor.
That's right. I try to overcome that by saying.
And I try to remind him.
I have somebody smarter than me guiding me, and that's the truth.
Amen.
And
you didn't know you were having church today.
Yeah, but there's so much of that that's true about this whole project.
Yes.
But why hasn't, and this is a good question and answer, why hasn't all these people that study medicine and have for 400 years modern medicine discovered this? If I tell, and I do this, if I tell people medical people, what's the benefit of increasing or warming the blood beyond normothermia? And they all come back, you don't want to do that unless you're fighting cancer. Then you want to induce hyperthermia at over 105 degrees to kill the cancer cells. But there's no reason to do what the device does. If you sat down and you thought about this really hard, there's no reason to do what we do. For treating hypothermia, and that's like, say, 95 degrees or less core body temperature, which is an emergency situation. Somebody has that when they fall off their boat in the ocean and the water temperature is even 60 or 70 degrees, they can get hypothermic. Extreme situations, you fall through the ice in a northern lake, you're older and you fall on your floor and you can't get up. And with that, you're laying there at night and it's 60, 70 degrees, you can get hypothermic and you can get danger, and you can die actually. And so what's the treatment for hypothermia? Okay, so the non-invasive ones are putting a warming blanket around you, putting you in a warm room to slowly warm you up.
And how long does that usually take?
It usually takes an hour and a half.
Right.
And the more non-invasive ones are taking and putting an IV and putting warm saline to replace your blood and warm your blood up, and you have to do it very carefully. But when do they stop? When does that treatment stop? Or when do they stop warming you when you get out of anesthesia from surgery and your core body temperature has immediately dropped 2 degrees Celsius, so you're immediately in a situation where you need to get back to normal thermia. So getting out of hypothermia stops at 96.8 degrees, and that's if you're in a recovery room, they monitor your temperature, see when you're at 96.8. They monitor other vital signs before they move you out of that. And everything else, when you get to 96.8 or 97 degrees, job done. Let's stop here. There's nothing to see here going beyond. And so, anyway, so that's why we're different. That's how we found it.
Because you overcooked my sister.
Yeah, that's true. I was told, and I was told by some very smart researchers that I respect, that it's impossible to non-invasively infuse heat into the human body, because the human body is really good at controlling through the hypothalamus core body temperature, because it's important. It stays within a very narrow level of 96.8. And anyway, so that's why we have a product. Then that's the reason that little old me and Danielle have found an answer that there's no logical reason for having a device like this. Mechanism of action, it just simply, and you all know this, you put your hand in there, I'm warming your palm up, I'm actually warming the blood up in your palm. Most important thing, I mean, you can do that. You can put your hand in, one of our FAQs is, can I just put my hand in warm water and do the same thing? You can for about 35 seconds, At 35 seconds, the body is very smart, and what it'll do, it'll vasoconstrict. It'll close off these vessels, so the warm blood will never get to the heart, and it will never be distributed throughout your body, and that's called vasoconstriction. That happens if you get in a spa, if you get in everything else, because the body has this shield, I call it, and if you get too much cold, it vasoconstricts. If you have too much heat in, it vasodilates, so the heat can radiate off. So it opens the shield, closes the shield, opens the shield, closes the shield. And so that's what the vacuum does also. The body starts needing to close the shield because it's getting this heat in that it doesn't want. And that's called vasoconstriction. So it's trying to close these vessels, the arterial venous anastomosis in the palm of the hand. And so it's going like this through vasoconstriction, trying to close it. And my vacuum is pulling it open again. So I stick a heat pump on your circulatory system, and there's nothing that the body can do to prevent it from happening. Fortunately, it's a very safe amount of heat that's going into the body, and it's enough that the body can get rid of most of it, except for about 1 degree, and that 1 degree is enough to elicit capillary function, which provides oxygen and nutrients and takes away toxins in the blood, and it also gets rid of excess interstitial fluid, which most people don't know. So we warm the blood, and because the blood is a non-Newtonian liquid, think of molasses as a non-Newtonian liquid, it gets thinner. The viscosity gets thinner as you apply heat to it. And then it goes into places it hasn't gone in a long time. It releases things. We've seen that with a person that came to Jeannie's from Costa Rica, Jeffrey Dawson.
Are they here?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, bummer.
But anyway, he had not a migraine. He had a terrible headache, like in a 9 or a 10, for 3 years every day. I mean, there was problems in the family. His wife readily admits she couldn't take it anymore.
Lots of opioids.
Jeannie's.
In our house.
Yeah.
In 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes, he was crying, and his wife was crying.
We were all crying, right? We were all
but
crying.
None of us knew what happened. I thought, oh my God, he burned his hand or something like that.
We're like, oh my God, what have we done?
Yeah.
He's overcooked another one.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is, I talked to him 3 weeks later, 3 months later. I talked to him last week. That headache is still gone on one treatment. So,
it is.
So the only thing...
In half a treatment. It was in half a treatment.
Yeah, and the only thing I can think is that we released something. There was some blockage. So we don't know everything about this device. We're
still learning.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of money to do the research, but we're just happy helping people. And so if somebody says, this helped me, I say, great. I'm going to say, can you come over? We're going to put you in this machine and look at all your cells. You know, it's pragmatic. You know, if it helps you, let's believe it. Which, by the way, there's placebo issues in the medical community. I believe if you have a placebo situation and it helps you, God bless you. I mean, it helps you, okay? But we don't know all the things that are happening in the machine. But we do know, if you look at the opposite hand, so this picture just shows I increase the microcirculation at deep tissue nutrition, and so you have your hand in here, and you start out with a capillary microscope, and you look at your hand before, you can see there's no blood in these vessels. They're in the capillaries, and after a 20-minute treatment, you can see the capillaries are filled with blood, and the reason that they're filled with blood is they're radiating off the heat. So I'm putting heat in here, and the peripheral capillaries are getting rid of it, and that's how it works. This is what we have an FDA audit R&D assembly facility, which you all saw yesterday.
Except a lot of those boxes aren't there anymore.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Somebody pointed, some really observant guy last night, and I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but I said, last time I was there, those racks were all filled, and I forgot we had a picture of it.
Yep.
They're not filled anymore.
Nope.
All those parts are in machines and have gone out the door. And we're also NAFTA qualified, and we're the future of pain relief. And I really sincerely want to thank you for believing in this product and sharing it. Thank you. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Danielle. She's not only a director of the company, She's been influenced through this whole project. As bad as it got, she had her twinkly little voice keeping me going. And she was
if you can believe that.
And she was our best salesman for up until you guys came on board. So,
thank you for giving me a break.